Welcome back to the next feature of the Forkify application. And this one is going to be pagination. So let's take a look at our current implementation of the search to get an idea what the problem is. So you see we have 59 results for pizza, but now all of these results are displayed here basically at once, right? And so this is not user-friendly at all. So in the final demo application, we only have 10 results on this page, and then we can go to the next page and basically get the next 10 results. And so that's what we want to do right now in our application as well. Now this problem is actually harder to solve than it might seem like. But I'm sure that together we can do it. So let's think about what we have to do here. So remember that it is the control search results function that is responsible for rendering the search results right here. And currently, we are simply rendering all the search results like this. However, in the first page, we only want to render 10 results and not all of the results, right? And then if we're on page 1, we want to render the second 10 results. So from result 11 to result 20. And so let's basically create a function in our model which will take in the page that we want to render and which will then only return the results that we actually want to render for that page. Okay? And that's actually not so difficult. So let's create a new function here and also export it. And let's call it get search results page. So a function. And this one is of course not going to be an async function because we already have the search results loaded at this point. So at the point when we will call this function. All we want to do in this function is basically reach into the state and then get the data for the page that is being requested. So what we will return here is basically a part of the results. So let's write that here because that will be helpful to understand the logic we need to write here. So we will return state.search.results, which remember is this array here, right? And then we only want to return part of it. And so that's a slice. So again, for the first page, we would like to return from result 1 to result 10. And so that would be 0 to 9, actually, because the array is 0 based. Now, of course, we're not going to hard code these values here, but we can basically calculate them based on the page. So let me try that. So we will basically create a start variable. So let's set that to 0 for now. So basically having the same values as here. And also an end variable. So we want to start at a certain point and then also end at a certain point, right? But again, we don't want to hard code these values, of course, but instead we want to calculate them dynamically. So here we will want a 9 and here a 0. And so how can we calculate that? Well, the easiest way that everyone does it, or at least I think that's the way that everyone does it, is to take the page and then -1, and then simply multiply it by the amount of results that we want on the page. So let's say 10 here for now. And then here we do the same simply with page. So page times 10. Okay. So let's say that we requested page 1. So 1 minus 1 is 0, and 0 times 10 is then 0. So just as we wanted. And for the end parameter, then pages 1 times 10 is 10. And actually the slice method here does not include the last value that we pass in. And so actually 10 is perfect here. So that will then extract all the way to 9. Now, one page is 2. So for page 2, then here we will have 2 minus 1 is 1 times 10, 10. So it will start at 10 and then go to 2 times 10, which is 20. And the same for all the other pages that we pass in. And so this is actually already it. Now let's just refactor this code because, of course, this here is an important data about our application. And so it should go into the state. Okay. So let's call that results per page. And so let's set it to 10. So here instead of 10, we have state.search.results per page. So that's a lot better. But actually, we can do even better because this here now looks kind of like a magic number, right? So a number that comes out of nowhere. And so I think you can see where I'm going with this. So I will create another constant in our configuration file. And then if at some point in the future we want to change the configuration, in this case of the results we want per page, we can simply come here to the configuration file and change that. So let's import that. So that's right here. Replace that here. And so that should work just fine now. Okay. And now let's go back to our controller. And so again, this is the way we did it previously. So all the results, but now we only want some results. And so we can now call that function that we just created. So model.getSearchResults. And then let's say we want to start with page 1. And of course, we will then later on get this value here dynamically. But for now, we just want to see if this actually works. So let's see. And let's search here again for pizza. So again, 59 results. But we still get all the results here for some reason. So let's only log this here to the console. So just to see what our function here is doing. Well, apparently it doesn't really do anything. So get search results per page. I think that is the correct name. So that should actually work. Well, let's just log something here just so we see if this function is actually being executed. So start and end. Well, nothing is happening here for some reason. Maybe we need to stop parcel. Sometimes that is necessary. And then run it again. So let's build it all again. Let's also try it again. And now it seems to work. And indeed, now we only get 10 results. So sometimes you actually have to stop and restart parcel. This isn't the first time that this has happened to me. And probably I should have warned you about this problem also earlier. But anyway, now we see that this actually worked. So great. Then we can get rid of this and also of this console.log right here. Okay, now let's try something else, like page 2. But apparently it didn't change anything. Maybe we just have to turn off the hot module reload. Let's try that. Now I think that these 10 here are different. Or are they? Well, I'm not sure. Let's try page number 3. So we started with pizza dip. So let's see what we get this time at first. Yeah, so these actually look new to me. So it looks like currently we are indeed on page number 3. Okay, and now just to finish this part, here in our model, we should also store this page number that is coming in this state. And that's going to be important because later when we will display the page number here, then we kind of need to know at which page we actually are. Okay, and so this really makes sense because again, this is a very important piece of data about our application. And so it's good that in any point of time, we can know in our application on which page we currently are in the search results. So let's simply say state.search.page is equal to page. And then let's actually also set it up here. So the page, we can set it to 1 by default. Okay. And then finally, we can make this even better and say that by default, the page should be that default. So state.search.page. And so now if we don't pass anything into the page, then the page will simply become the default of 1 that we just said before. So we can remove that 1 from there, and it should then still be working in our own version. So pasta this time. And yeah, so here we get our 10 results. And so we are done with this part, but this was actually the easy part because now we need to render the pagination buttons here. And so let's leave that for the next video.